Yes. This piece of news comes from our good friend Nate at Nintendo Prime. He says Nintendo experimented with a Spider-Man-like hookshot in Breath of the Wild. He writes, Hookshot fans, you almost had your wildest dreams come true. This is directed right at you, Jesse.
Yes.
It turns out Nintendo actually experimented with using the hookshot in Breath of the Wild during development. And then there's some excerpts from an interview with Onuma. But basically, the gist of it is that they did experiment using the hookshot and having the double hookshots, like in Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword. But basically, they found the items to be way too game-breaking and totally defeat the point of climbing and paragliding. It was just too... They were too OP, basically. So they just found it totally broke the game, and they decided to exclude it. And part of the article that I find really funny is he says... This comes from Aonuma. He says, honestly, the hookshot kind of completely breaks the climbing mechanic. There's a lot of fans in the staff, even at pretty high levels, who really like the hookshot, and they kept bugging me about it. I eventually just had to say, no, hookshot is gone. There will be no hookshot in this game. And, like, I have to wonder how many people at Nintendo are coming up to him being like, so, when do you get the hookshot? Like, how annoyed he must have been. But yeah, I mean, like, because the hookshot has been in, I think, every Zelda game, with the exception of the DS ones, since A Link to the Past.
Yeah.
Actually, no. I don't think they were in the Oracle games. I think there was, like, the Switch Hook, which is not the hookshot, and there was another one. But even when the games that they don't have the hookshot, there's something similar functionally, like the whip or grappling hook.
Right.
So
there was something with similar mechanic.
Yes. So the hookshot otherwise has been up in almost every main Zelda game. It's been a staple. It's even in Hyrule Warriors. So yeah, so for its absence in Breath of the Wild did not go unnoticed.
Yeah. I like the quote where he says, in the early stages of development, we did actually do some tests with double hookshots and just being able to kind of go anywhere like Spider-Man. Your mobility and your speed was just kind of incredible. We did do some tests like that. Now, I don't remember if it was on this podcast, on a previous episode, but I imagine, like, being on the side of a cliff and hookshotting to another cliff, but then while you're halfway there, canceling the hookshot, and then instead of like being
whipping out the paraglider,
instead of being pulled towards something, you're just being like launched or slingshotted through the air, and then you can use your paraglider to pick up a lot of speed and just glide almost anywhere. I
can dream of it now. It seems so sweet. Yeah. So this is kind of a neat insight into the development. I mean, he talks about how this was, if he did go through with it, it would be doing just more of the same, and he was trying to do something not the same with Breath of the Wild, something different from previous Zelda games. So it does make sense.
Do you think this would have been a rune, like the bombs and the magnesis, or do you think this would have been an item that you would pick up and then it would break? That's like the boomerang.
I don't know. I think if it was breakable, I would never use it, to be honest, because I would want to like keep it forever.
Like I think, but then like it would make sense. Like it would be interesting if it was breakable, because then it's like if you could use one, but then while you had it, you could equip a second, and then you would have a double hookshot for a limited time, and then when one breaks, you have to go back to a single hookshot.
Yeah.
And then they could have like varying lengths depending on their strength or durability.
Yeah.
And so that would be an interesting way to do it.
And it would also be really cool in combat if you could use it to like hookshot onto an enemy's shield and tear that off tear it out of their hands, or even just jab them.
Like if it's a smaller enemy, like a bokoblin, you could do that. Or if it's a larger enemy, then you could actually like be pulled towards them.
Yeah. Now imagine fighting a stone talus, hookshotting up onto the top of it, and then trying to defeat it that way.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of having to knock it down and climb up top.
That would be really interesting.
If they had to put it in, I feel like
I think it would be
like the coolest way to do it would be put it as a rune, where it wouldn't break, and put it really end game, like really close to the end of the game, because otherwise, like he says, totally game breaking. However, the thing with Breath of the Wild is that it's hard to say when is the end game, because even if you put it in Hyrule Castle, which is like technically the final dungeon of the game, you could just go from the Great Plateau right to Hyrule Castle, grab the Hylian Shield, grab the Hookshot, and then leave, and then go do the rest of the game, right?
Yeah.
So
that's what a lot of people do to get like a lot of high-powered weapons and stuff.
That's where the good weapons are. Just go to Hyrule Castle.
A lot of the good food in the dining hall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So
that's a hard thing to regulate, as it were.
Since he says it would ruin the game, if you had it as post-game DLC for like a potential third DLC like we were talking about earlier, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
And then you could have like, it wouldn't necessarily break the game because some of the shrines or some of the towers that you have to get to the top of are challenges in themselves, trying to figure out like you have to burn the thorns so you can climb up to the shrine or climb up to the tower or whatever.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, you could break the game by just hook-shotting right above where the thorns and stuff are. So that would be interesting. But if they have it as post-DLC, to where it takes place after Ganon, so all of the shrines are basically already completed, then using this wouldn't necessarily break the game. Because as it is right now, like, one of the things that I wanted was for the the Loftwings to be in Breath of the Wild. But then everyone, like, whenever I mention it, there's always someone that comments like, oh, that would break the game. Like, there would be no exploration left. You could just fly everywhere. And then it's like, well, if you got it at the very beginning of the game, yes. But as for having no exploration, as it is right now, you can literally just warp instantly anywhere you want to go.
True.
Which would kill, like, that kills exploration more than flying over everything would. So,
yeah. You know what? Actually, I was just thinking more about this hookshot thing. I feel like a good way to mitigate it without, like, having it in the game without it being totally game breaking is to really limit what the hookshot can hook into. So in Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, for example, you can't just hook onto any stone wall or anything. It has to be either specifically a hookshot target or something wooden.
Yeah, like the roof of the buildings.
So, the roof of the buildings, or boxes, treasure chests, or trees. So if you had that, where it's like only certain materials could be grappled into with the hookshot, like you cannot hookshot onto a rock face, then that kind of helps with not be so game breaking. If you could only hookshot into wooden things.
Yeah, like if an enemy has a metal shield, then it will just like bounce off of it, but if it's a wooden shield, then it will attach. But
that would mean it has to be the hook shot and not the claw shot.
Yeah.
Because there is a difference between the two. So if you could only hook shot into trees and not rocks, then there's still like a great deal of climbing that you're gonna have to still do.
Yeah.
So I think it possibly could be done.
Because as it is right now, there are even the certain textures that you can't climb on. Like if it is the slick metal or whatever.
So I feel like they could do it with great limitations. And this would be a case where putting limitations on the item is not a bad thing.
What's up, everybody? Jesse here. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this podcast, T-Blocks. You may ask, what is T-Blocks? Well, T-Blocks is a unique t-shirt subscription service where you choose between an awesome licensed shirt or artist-designed shirt delivered to your door every month. Prices start at just below $9, with a 12-month prepaid price that goes down to below $7 a month. Licensed shirts include designs from Disney, Marvel, DC, HBO, Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, Naruto, Star Wars, and many more. My first shirt was an awesome, officially licensed Zelda shirt, which, as you all know, we focus on Zelda a lot on this channel. So if this is something you would be interested in, please subscribe to T-Blocks with the promo code JesseTBX for 10% off your entire order. Details and links to everything can be found in the description below. And with all of that out of the way, let's get started. The videos on this channel are funded by supporters on Patreon like you. If you're a fan of this channel and would like to join on videos, receive shoutouts, watch videos early, have your questions answered, or have your topic discussed on our podcast, please consider supporting on Patreon for these and many other rewards for just $1. Shoutouts for this video includes Link Use the Triforce, Rusty Caulfield, Lovable Christie, Give Time 15, Shadow to Us, Robbie Morgan, and Lunarium. I want to thank all of you for everything you have done to help support this channel.